Hello, my video vlogging friends, and welcome to day 9 of my VVC. Now, today's subject is actually to talk about a day you will never forget. And I would love to say, it'd be a happy day, like, the day I met Michael, or, the day my sister got married, which, those are very important days to me, and those are days I will never forget. But, the very first one that actually pops into my head is unfortunately the day my dad died. Um, he died on December 12th of 2012. And, hearing a lot of people say, oh, well, I did this on 12/12/12, or my boyfriend proposed to me on 12/12/12. And, I always feel bad because a lot of times people will ask me, oh, well, what did you do on 12/12/12? And, I have to be the complete and total buzzkill and say I went to the hospital where my dad died. Um, but it was a pretty rough day. You guys might see a little emotional side from me today because of this. But I was at work, and well, what had happened was my mom got a phone call at about 5:30 in the morning, and it was my dad, and he was saying, he's like, I had this really bad dream. I had a bad dream that I was fighting. And my mom had said to him, she's like, well, it kind of sounds like you were fighting for your life. And needless to say, we found out he pretty much was. But I went and I saw him that Monday. Him and I were joking. Michael and I had gotten him some graphic novels for his birthday, so I took those to him, and we were picking on Mom. We were doing all sorts of stuff that, we did on a daily basis. And not once did I think that that was going to be the last day that I would see my dad alive. But he had said Monday that, he was talking about retiring. And the worst thing of all is the fact that we used to always crack jokes that the day Dad retired was going to be the day that he died. And so, like I said, unfortunately, he was planning on retiring, and I guess you could say the kicker of it is, guess what? Day he officially retired, day he died. But I was at work, and I'd gotten a phone call, and at the place that I worked at, the phones had the little caller IDs on them, and I recognized the number. And I thought to myself, I was like, well, why would this person be calling me? And I answered it, and it was my best friend's mom, actually. And she had asked me if I was sitting down, and I said, no, what's going on? And then she asked me if there was somebody near me, and I said, no, what's going on? And she had said to me, she's like, baby, I really hate to do this, but your dad just died this morning. And I know that my mom was hurting too much and preoccupied with everything from the hospital to be able to be the one to call me. In fact, Sally was the first person that Mom had called. And she had asked, is there anything I could do? And Mom said that somebody had to tell me. So it was very painful hearing that. And the fact that I thought my dad was too young to go. I thought I was too young to lose my dad. But unfortunately, that is the day that I will never forget. Luckily enough, we all do our grieving differently. As you can tell, it's actually been 4 months since my dad had passed, and normally every day I'm doing a lot better, or as good as I can be. And but, like, for instance, I know some people are a suffer in silence kind of people. Me, I am not. Obviously, I'm sharing this with you. If I ever get the chance to cry, I will cry. But we sat in the room where he was at, In fact, one funny thing is everybody kept cracking jokes on how many people I was going to rub my snot all over because of the fact that I snotted on both of my best friend's parents, on my mom, on my two best friends that came up there, on Michael. You know, this was in Des Moines. I called Michael once I got the phone call, once I got to the hospital, and I asked him if he could come up, and he did. He dropped everything for to be there for me, and I couldn't have been happier with that. You know, he knows that my dad meant so much to me, and that meant so much to me also that he was willing to drop everything to come up there to be with me. But we we were sitting there in the room and we're trying to think of everybody that we needed to contact to let them know about dad passing, and that we knew we were going to have to start setting up funeral arrangements or memorial service arrangements. And setting up, him getting cremated and everything like that, because dad never wanted to be put in the ground. He would always crack jokes of bugs and worms and stuff crawling in and out of his face. But we sat there for quite a few hours actually, and cracked jokes, shared stories, you know. Then we all went over to my best friend's parents' house afterwards and started the Irish wake. The wake lasted from that Wednesday to that Sunday. I honestly, I didn't get completely obliterated drunk due to it being a wake, but I wasn't the most sober either. And I felt really bad. I kept apologizing to Michael because I'm not a fan of getting drunk. When I was right around 21, it was one of those, woohoo, I'm legal now, let's go boozing. But I've grown up since then. Yeah, it's only been a few years, but it's the fact that I don't have to go out and get drunk to have a good time. I can go out with my friends. I don't even have to drink to have a good time. But, every now and then a drink or two is okay. But the fact of the matter is so many people showed up to Greg and Sally's during the week because of that. I don't think I had ever seen anybody there during the week other than my family every now and then. And then, I felt really bad because every single person that came in, I cried even more every single time. Seeing people that dad knew before I was born. Seeing how heart-wrenching it was for them too. People that I had never even met. And it was just so tough. But, I do look at it this way. He's no longer suffering. He's in a better place. I've been saying ever since he died that he's my mom, my sisters, and I's guardian angel. And I believe it. Anytime I hear a particular song that reminds me of him, I, look up, say I love you, Daddy, and I miss you. You know, the tough thing is I still have moments that I just want to pick up my phone and be like, oh my gosh, Dad, I thought of this today, or I saw this and I thought of you today, and it hurts knowing that I'll never have that again, but like I said, he's okay now. He had been suffering since, I was a teenager. He had open heart surgery when I was a teenager, and he had to get stents put in, and then he had the open heart surgery, and he technically, when he had his open heart surgery, he was supposed to die that day because they brought him back to life. He actually technically died that day. But this shows how stubborn of an Irishman he is, and how much he fought because he came back. He decided it wasn't his time. And unfortunately, on the 12th of December, he finally realized that he couldn't fight anymore, that he didn't want to suffer anymore. So unfortunately, he left us. But even though physically he's gone, his legacy remains. Um, I was telling Michael that if, years down the road, if we ever got married and ever had kids and whatnot, I told him, I was like, I'll be damned if my children still don't know who their grandpa is, because I will make sure that they know. But anywho, I'm gonna get off here now since I'm kind of a blubbering idiot now. So, to any of my friends that watch this, if you cry, I'm sorry. If you didn't enjoy my story, I'm sorry. I certainly hope you wouldn't really enjoy it, but, if you were moved or touched by it, I hope there's something for you in my story. I'm losing it now. So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here, and, y'all have a good night. See ya.